It's 7 o'clock, so I am calling this meeting to order. I would appreciate Mrs. Berrigan leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And after everyone stands and says the pledge, I hope you will all join us, stay standing for a moment of silence in memory of Cody Hawkins, a student at Paradise Valley High School.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. May we have roll call, please?
Mrs. Matura,
Here.
Mrs. Greenberg,
Here.
Mrs. Bacon,
Here.
Mrs. Brown,
Here.
Mrs. Case.
Here.
Next on the agenda is approval of agenda. Dr. Lee.
Thank you, President Greenberg. Items approved by consent will not come up for discussion during the meeting, but will be approved when the agenda is adopted. This is possible since members of the governing board receive the agenda along with backup material at least 24 hours prior to the meeting and have had time to review and consider all items. Prior to the agenda being adopted, members of the governing board or audience may ask that an item be removed from the consent agenda and brought to the floor for discussion at the appropriate place on the agenda. I would like to offer the agenda as posted.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Does any member of the governing board wish to move anything from the consent agenda to the approval agenda? Does any member of the audience? Seeing none, Mrs. Bacon, may we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Those in favor of approving the agenda as posted, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is governing board statements. Does any member, I know we all have things to say as this meeting goes on, but does any member of the board have anything to say at this time? Seeing none, next on the agenda would be called to the public. I don't see any cards, so we are moving right along to superintendent's comments. Dr. Lee.
Thank you, President Greenberg. I'm excited to announce that our assessment department will guide parents and students through a college and career planning process during a virtual presentation on College and Career 101, an introduction to college and career basics on April 28th from 6 to 7 p.m. Additional details are posted on the district website as well as the websites of our middle schools and high schools. I want to remind everyone that Governor Ducey issued an executive order on March 25th that loosened the COVID-19 restrictions. It did not remove the order requiring school districts to require mask wearing. In addition, the Arizona Department of Health Services emergency measures are still in effect, requiring masks in all K-12 schools. Masks must be worn on school campuses, on school buses, and during school-related activities by all students, staff, and visitors, and we really appreciate your support with that. I often hear that students across the country have had a year loss of learning. I would like to share a glimpse of how our students have done. We are pleased to announce that we have completed 3 benchmark mimic assessments for the grades 3 through 8, 2 rounds of STAR reading assessments for grades 4 through 6, 2 rounds of ELA math and math formative assessments for 9th and 10th grade, and ELA fall common finals for grades 9 through 12. These assessments have helped us prepare our students and teachers for state testing. They show that in many grade levels, our students have stayed on track for learning when compared to previous years. with minimal learning loss. This is a credit to our teachers, our families, who have all worked together while maintaining high standards of learning during this pandemic. That's great news. In addition, I often hear that students are leaving our district in droves. I would prefer to say they are joining our district in droves. Here are the facts. From our 110th day, which was February 2nd, to our 150th day, which happens to be today, our enrollment has grown exactly 200 students. And that trend seems to be continuing. It is typical for most districts to lose students during the second semester, as we have seen in PV schools for a number of years. This year, however, is the first year we have seen growth from days 110 to 150 since we began to keep records. That's good news also. And that's all the comments I have. Oh, I do have one more. Excuse me. I'd like to welcome Ms. Jill Berrigan to our dais up here, and it's her first meeting with us. We introduced her when you approved her a few weeks back, but she is with us permanently now. So let's give Jill a hand. Can we do that? Now I'm through.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lee. Next on the agenda is an incredibly important item, and it's consideration approval of contract for our Superintendent Elect. So Mrs. Bacon, may I have a motion? And then may we have a roll call vote?
So moved.
Mrs. Matura?
All right. So many of you in the community have had the chance to see Dr. Bales in action as your high school principal or maybe your kid's elementary school principal. And over the past several years, PV employees have been able to work with Dr. Bales while he has been on cabinet. I am looking forward to seeing him bring all those learned skills forward to his new role as superintendent and for you all to get to know him in this new position. Dr. Bales, I'm excited to have the opportunity to work with you. With that, I vote aye.
Mrs. Greenberg?
The process of searching for a superintendent is always multifaceted. It's full of high hopes, high expectations, and high stress for pretty much everyone involved. This search was no different, and I want to thank everyone who joined us in this search for your help and support. The input we received from our stakeholder interview committee members, as well as from those who took time to join in the virtual community forum, was invaluable. I also want to thank the many members of our PV staff who helped ensure that all of the in-person and virtual components of this search worked as seamlessly as possible throughout this entire search, and including thanks to Dr. Lee for leading during all of this process. And I want to thank all of the candidates who applied for their interest in leading PV schools, and particularly our finalists. Each one possesses those exceptional qualities and experiences one hopes to find in a visionary educational leader, and each understands the needs and aspirations of our district, our students, our staff, and our families, because they are part of our district in one or many ways. So thank you, Dr. Bales, Dr. Guerin, and Dr. Jarris, for your leadership and your willingness to expand that leadership further. Your strength as leaders is what made this process truly exhilarating and also very intense. In PV schools, we talk quite a bit about the PV way, about what makes PV paradise, about our commitment to community and collaboration. And in his more than 20 years in PV, Dr. Bales has not just embodied community and collaboration, he has cultivated and enhanced it throughout the district. He has been a principal in 3 different PV schools at both the primary and secondary levels, giving him a truly unique perspective as an educational leader. His service in our schools prompted many in our community to provide stories about his caring, dedicated work with our students and their parents. And there's a trumpet story we heard that I'm going to have to hear more about as a fellow trumpeter. I have heard it said that the path to becoming a teacher prepares you to work with children, but perhaps less so adults. In his current role, Dr. Bales has mastered that as well, ensuring that PV is doing everything it can to support our staff and continuing to infuse the PV way into bargaining and into so much more. Dr. Bales has always shown his joy in being an educator and his dedication to being an innovator, all to make sure our students have as many opportunities as possible to achieve and succeed. As superintendent, he has pledged to listen, learn, and lead. And I believe these are truly the key actions one can and must take to ensure that all are heard as plans and programs develop and our district moves forward. Thank you, Dr. Bales, for your past service as a teacher, a principal, and administrator. And I'm excited to work with you and for your future service as our superintendent. And I vote aye.
Mrs. Bacon?
Well, I'm not going to be quite so eloquent. No, first I want to thank all of the finalists, the 3 finalists we had. It was, Anne described it as exhilarating. I would use a different word, more like excruciating, to make this choice. It's been a very difficult, 3 amazing candidates. So I want to thank them for that. Dr. Jarris, you're here. Thank you. I want to thank some of our employees who were with us for 14 hours during the day, numerous days. Mrs. Chisman, Mrs. Newell, Raquel, that I cannot remember her last name right now. Flores, yes. And of course, Mrs. Felton was with us the whole time too. So they really made everything work. And I want to thank them for that. Dr. Bales, I'm excited and a little baffled by your wanting to do this. It's been a tough year for superintendents, and I want to thank you for bringing your leadership forward. I'm excited to see where we will go and what we will accomplish. And I appreciate all the time, effort that you've put into PV schools. I want to also thank your family, because they, I know, have invested just as much time into PV schools just by virtue of supporting you. So thank you to the rest of the Bales family. And with that, I vote aye.
Mrs. Brown?
I would like to share the sentiments of my fellow board members. I won't repeat everything they said, but I also would like to thank all involved, in particular our employees who were here till 11 o'clock at night, more than one night during this process. And yes, exhilarating and excruciating was also described. It was also described as grueling and brutal. So, but I would like to thank my fellow board members for all of their time and willingness to collaborate and cooperate, and for the robust discussion and considerations of all involved. And I do want to do a special thank you to Dr. Guerin and Dr. Jarris, because, like my fellow board member said, it was a difficult decision, and they were asked by many people to put their names in addition to their own interest. And it wasn't easy for anyone. The decision, we feel confident in Dr. Bales. There's no question about that. But it is difficult to describe how valued Dr. Guerin and Dr. Jarris are to this community. And I think that they always will be. So I, too, am grateful that Dr. Jarris is here, along with Dr. Bales, and so very much value what we have learned from you, and what we have grown, how we have grown as a result of your existing leadership, but looking so forward to your continued and future leadership. So thank you very much. And also thank you to your family. With that, I vote aye.
Mrs. Case?
This process was a very interesting one, a time-consuming one, with many voices giving their opinions. and the opportunity, which we got to hear lots and lots of good ideas of how to make a district better. And it's interesting to be in a position where you hear many, many ideas and voices. And we appreciate the community working and together and answering the survey, and the community which interviewed the candidates. And PV really is a family. And through this process, I have felt that, and I'm grateful for that. And so through this process, I've gotten to know each three of the candidates better that were our finalists. And many, many ideas were shared. And I'm excited to go forward with some of those ideas. And I just want to say that I've known Dr. Bales and have been on various campuses where he has been the principal. And I appreciate his enthusiasm for academic excellence. And I'm looking forward to the future. And the name of the book, I'm going to change it a little bit. The Places We Will Go has come to mind for me, and I'm excited about the places we will go. And with that, I want to enthusiastically approve and say aye.
Thank you very much, my fellow board members. I know we know what the vote is, but Dr. Lee has asked to say a few words before I announce it. So I'm going to throw it over to him. Oh.
Yeah, I'd just like to congratulate Dr. Bales. I've known him and worked with him for many years, and I've known his wonderful family for many, many years. He's demonstrated success at every level: elementary principal, high school principal, assistant superintendent when I hired him back in 2016. Is that about right? This board should be commended for the quality of finalists they selected and the decision they made in naming Dr. Bales as the next superintendent of PV schools. I can say with confidence, and I hope you're all listening, this district will be in good hands for many years to come. I look forward to working with Dr. Bales over the next couple of months to ensure a very smooth transition. Congratulations, Dr. Bales.
And with that, we unanimously approve the contract for Dr. Bales.
Thank you. President Greenberg, Governing Board, thank you so much for entrusting me with the opportunity to lead PV schools to the next level. I am truly humbled and honored to take the next step in this role. I'd like to thank my wife of nearly 33 years for joining me. I'm blessed with two handsome young men who are PV graduates, both from Horizon. My oldest, Jeffrey, and his wife, Natalie, are here with us tonight. And my youngest, Jonathan. Thank you for being here, all of you. I'd like to extend a special thanks to the mentors of past and present, both near and far. It's been an amazing journey so far, and one that I really see as the next chapter that's just beginning. And I'm really excited about that. Dr. Skidmore would be proud that you cited Dr. Seuss. I'm not perfect, but I will listen, I will learn, and I will lead. To our stakeholders, our teachers, our support staff, our students, and our parents, I'm committed to excellence. I'm committed to listening to your voice and engaging with you in a shared decision-making model that puts students first. I'm confident that the challenges and the opportunities that we face as a result of this pandemic, moving forward, we can do together. I'm committed to the culture and the PV way. I do believe that with personal conviction. I'm committed to that continuous improvement and creating a sense of hope for all of us that moving forward, great things will come. I'm positive and optimistic, and I'd like to close with just a quote from Winston Churchill. A positive thinker sees the invisible, feels the intangible, and achieves the impossible. Together, we are committed to excellence every day for every child for a better community tomorrow. Thank you for trusting me as the next superintendent.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bales. Next on the agenda, I'm throwing it right back over to you because we have consideration approval of various administrative personnel actions.
Outstanding. Thank you, President Greenberg, Governing Board. With my HR hat, we will proceed. We bring to you a recommendation for the position of principal at Cactus View Elementary. Ms. Megan Cameron currently serves as the TOA Administrative Intern at Cactus View. Ms. Cameron joined PV Schools in 2014 as an elementary teacher. She earned a bachelor's degree in elementary education from Northern Arizona University and a master's degree in educational leadership also from NAU. We recommend Megan Cameron as principal of Cactus View Elementary School effective July 12th, 2021. And if approved tonight, she would receive salary and benefits consistent with the Paradise Valley Principals Agreement. And she is here with family.
Thanks. Wait, we have to vote. We have to vote. Mrs. Bacon, may I have a motion to approve?
Yeah, we should probably approve it first. No, so moved.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
I am humbled and grateful to continue to serve our wonderful district. As an educator and a mother, what an amazing opportunity it is to show my girls that you can 100% give your all to your children and you can 100% serve your community. I'm incredibly grateful to my husband and them because they see the iceberg beneath the water, right? They see all of my successes and failures, and I'm incredibly grateful to have wonderful mentors. Beth Bodwell, my teacher mentor, Shannon Mackman, my principal mentor. I thank you for this opportunity, and I am humbled and grateful to serve.
Next, we bring to you a recommendation for the position of principal at Campobello Elementary. Ms. Alyssa Orchard currently serves as the TOA Administrative Intern at Desert Shadows Elementary. Ms. Orchard joined PV Schools in 2013 as an elementary teacher. She earned a bachelor's degree in early childhood education from the University of Arizona and a master's degree in ed leadership from ASU. We recommend Alyssa Orchard as principal of Campobello effective July 12th, and if approved tonight, she would receive salary and benefits consistent with the PVP agreement, and she is also here with family.
Thank you very much. May we have a motion, Mrs. Bacon?
So moved.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
I'm very excited for this new challenge. My husband is here with me, supporting me, and I have lots of family with my little boys at home watching virtually. So they're watching and supporting from home. Thank you to all my mentors. Many are here, lots of them. So I'm excited for this new challenge.
Thank you. Finally, we bring to you a recommendation for the position of Coordinator of ESSER Grants. Ms. Michelle Pavlik currently serves as principal at Greyhawk Elementary. Ms. Pavlik joined PV Schools in 1997 as an elementary teacher, later serving as a TOA admin intern and principal. She earned a bachelor's degree in elementary ed from Ottawa University and a master's degree in ed leadership from NAU. We recommend Michelle Pavlik as coordinator of ESSER grants effective July 1. If approved tonight, she would receive salary and benefits consistent with the Central Office Administrator's Agreement, and she is here tonight.
Thank you, Mrs. Bacon. May we have a motion?
So moved.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
opportunity. Boy, I've had a ride, you know, it's 25 years in the district. Just amazing all the way through. It's just been, every step of the way has just been nothing but, I guess, elation. I've just had the best time, and I'm looking forward to this new adventure and then sailing off maybe into the sunset someday. So thank you.
Congratulations to all, and thank you for continuing your journey of excellence here in PV. Last on our agenda for approval is acceptance of gifts and donations. And as always, we are extraordinarily grateful to all of our donors. I'd like to mention a few on this report. We thank the Paradise Valley Girls Softball Team for donating $3,000 to the softball program at North Canyon High School. Trap Technology for donating $10,000 to the Principal's Discretionary Fund at PV High School. Rebecca Clout for donating $1,241.66 to the Principal's Discretionary Fund at Pinnacle Peak Preparatory School, and Pulte Home Corp for donating $1,000 for the vegetable garden at Sky Crossing Elementary. Again, if anyone is here who is with any of those groups or who is a donor, our deep thanks, and may we have a motion to approve the report.
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, we have 2 items for discussion. The first is our Community Legislative Network legislative update, and is Max Goshert here? I'm missing the bow tie, but no, other than that.
I can't please every day. I'm sorry. I was running a little late, so but this is easier to tie. President Greenberg and the board, and my congratulations to Superintendent Elect, or I'm not sure how you say that, you know, future Superintendent Bales. Thank you very much for having me here tonight. My name is Max Goshert. I am here on behalf of the Community Legislative Network. I am here to give an update on the activities of the Community Legislative Network and some of the bills that we are tracking in the Arizona Legislature. Okay, so today is the 88th day of the 2021 legislative session. Regular committee hearings have ended, and the legislature has passed 239 bills. The governor signed 189 bills and vetoed 0. If I were a betting man, I would guess that that's not going to stay that way, but we'll see. Okay, so first of all, let's cover the one. There was one bill that we were really rooting for, and unfortunately, that bill is now, for all intents and purposes, dead. May it rest in peace. So we'll go ahead and we'll move on to the number of bills that we're tracking that we were not supporting. Just real quickly, the bill that we were supporting was a bill that would fully fund distance learning education. So unfortunately, that did not make it through to the governor's desk. The first bill on the list of bills that we are not supporting is the Arizona Empowerment Scholarship Accounts revisions. This is a bill that would massively expand the Empowerment Scholarship Account program to include about 70% of students to qualify for this program. This is what's colloquially known as vouchers. And so this would expand the number of children who are able to apply for those programs and get a voucher to use that money to attend private schools. Most likely, this bill, it's looking more and more like it's not going to pass, but it ain't over till it's over. Moving on, Empowerment Scholarship Accounts, student victims. This is a bill that we were watching previously. I had talked about in February. This bill is now, for all intents and purposes, dead. Senate Bill 1118. This is a strike everything amendment related to student tuition organizations. This bill would expand the eligibility for student tuition organizations to include, let me see, I'm trying to, Dr. Lee, you commented about how I didn't use notes last time, and I'm worried that I might fail you here because there's a couple of different student groups who are now eligible for this. One of those being students who are moving in from out of state. And then I can't remember the rest, but a couple of other student groups. Now, school tuition organization, this is the other program that is known as vouchers. And so this is a program where students can apply and they can receive these scholarships from nonprofit organizations that can accept donations from individuals and corporations, which then get tax credits for those donations. So this reduces the overall amount of money that the state receives, which then in turn will reduce the overall amount of money that can be spent on education. So this bill would expand eligibility for those programs. Next bill, HB 2435. This is the bill concerning schools, governing boards, elections, revisions. This bill is also, for all intents and purposes, dead. SB 1041. This is the other bill concerning school tuition organizations. This is an aggregate cap increase. And so what this means is this is the total amount of money that the state is able to take in for these programs. I just talked about how these individuals and corporations can donate money to these nonprofits in order to issue these scholarships. Right now, the cap is $5 million for these specific tax credits. This would expand the cap to $20 million by 2024, and then increase it 2% hence annually. So that would be a good amount of money that would not be seen by public education after that. Next up is SB 1783. This is small businesses alternative income tax. I think everybody here is well aware of Prop 208. This is a proposition that was passed with a fairly sturdy margin by the voters in 2020, which increases the tax on top income earners in Arizona, which would provide about $800 million to public schools in order to increase teacher salaries, put some more money into classrooms, and do a lot of really good stuff that we're all a fan of here. So what this bill would do is this would create a different tax designation for certain top income earners that operate as small businesses. This would reduce the total amount of estimated tax receipts by about $500 million. So we'd be looking at $300 million rather than $800 million. So that's a very substantial increase. That's less than half of the amount of money that schools would be seeing originally, should this pass. Moving on, HB 2427, schools attendance boundaries, open enrollment. So this is a little bit more of an esoteric bill that would deal with the way that school boundaries are classified. At the desire to protect my perception of how much I know about these things, I'm going to move on to the next bill. HB 2840, misconduct involving weapons on school grounds. This would change the classification of what is considered a misdemeanor for having firearms on school grounds. And so it would now make it the case where under certain circumstances, loaded firearms could be on school grounds if they're in a locked car, under control of an adult. Or a couple of other cases, and so now this would kind of expand the instances where this is a legal occurrence. Again, not the most ideal situation. So let's talk about what's coming up with the legislature. So the legislature is approaching the magic 100 day. Now, we as schools like to celebrate the 100th day because the number 100 is fun and it deals with funding. The legislature also likes to celebrate, but they don't celebrate the 100th day. They look at that as a deadline because they get paid a certain amount of money per day, lawmakers do, and that money gets cut by about a third after the 100th day. So naturally, it gives them an incentive to kind of wrap things up, which given the bills that we were just looking at might not be the worst thing. So with committee hearings over, legislators will focus on producing a state budget. That's going to happen very soon. Not too much information on that just yet. There's a lot of other things that are going on at the legislature that are kind of, pushing that back a little bit. Legislators will also focus on voting on bills on the House and Senate floors. So this is kind of do or die for some of these bills that we were just talking about. Over 150 bills remain alive on the Senate floor, and over 150 bills remain alive in the House floor and in the Senate. So plenty of action still to be had. With that being said, I would be happy to take questions from the board or the superintendent.
Mrs. Bacon? No. Anybody else? Well, Max, some of the what we're seeing, there is a possibility that anything that has a dollar sign to it could possibly find its way to the budget, correct?
That's correct.
The one bill we liked possibly might show up there, but also some of these we don't, if they go down in either chamber, could snake their way in, couldn't they?
To quote somebody very smart, much smarter than me, it ain't over till it's over. You know?
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Sorry,
President.
sorry
for
we
bringing
won't
the
see
board.
you next update, but we'll look
See
forward
the
to
update
one
after that.
after.
Thank you.
Max, I just want to thank you, and you're moving to Oregon on us.
Yes, I am. Yes, I'll be moving to Portland at the end of May.
And we wish you the best of luck. And I really want to thank you for your contributions to CLN and just your support of Paradise Valley School District. You've been wonderful. So I really appreciate that. And I know others do too.
I really appreciate that, Dr. Lee. I have a couple of things that I'd like to say about how I feel about this district, but I'm trying to steel myself for the emotions that that's going to cause. So give me until May to do that. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Max. And next on our items for discussion is consideration of revisions to the Parent-Student Handbook for 2021-2022. This is first read, so this is discussion only, and I will turn it over to Dr. Long, Mr. Long.
Mr. Long, do you want to
no introduction?
I thought you did. I thought you just moved to Oregon on us. It's just too.
I was looking at Mitch. I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Von Mechten, who has led this process in the revision of our Parent-Student Handbook.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Long. I appreciate that. Good evening, everyone. Governing board members, President Greenberg, Dr. Lee, Dr. Bales, and cabinet members. This is the first read of the 21-22 Parent-Student Handbook. So thank you very much. First of all, I would just, where are we going? I do this every time. Deanne, help me. There we go. Sorry. Right button. Okay. First of all, let me thank the participants on the committee. They give up their time and their energy. They bring great insight and oversight to this document, and I appreciate everything they did through our meeting. So thank you very much to all of them. Next, for basic timeline and process, every January, I make an inquiry to our department leaders for information regarding changes they might have relative to statute, policy, what have you, that they wish to bring to the committee to put into the handbook. The committee meets 2 or perhaps sometimes a third time during the month of February going into March. We review those for language and making sure it's kind of user-friendly for our patrons. In addition, those constituency groups can bring forward recommendations that they might have that we discuss and review. We put together a red line and list of revisions for our recommendation to you, and I give those for review in the month of March. So these are the summary of revisions. And what I would like to do is just point out a few of these. Actually, one, updated letter from our superintendent. So Dr. Bales, tomorrow morning, your first duty is to provide me a letter, if you would please, for the Parent-Student Handbook. Congratulations. I'm sure that's a priority, but by the second read, we will get that item to you. Likewise, we did update the front cover, and I just got that from marketing and communications this week. It's nice, and I will have that prepared and ready for you to look at by the second read in a couple of weeks. And then lastly, since you had backup materials and were able to review items in advance, a question was brought to my attention regarding specifically what was at one time the parent concern policy and is now called the public concern policy. And it was noted that there's some misalignment of language. And if you have the summary of revisions in front of you, I'm referring to number 7, Roman numeral 1, general concerns. Now, frankly, what this is what we include in the Parent-Student Handbook is in fact KEBR, which is the regulation for public concerns and how they're brought forward. That was a policy change that in fact you made last summer, and we're just getting into this year's handbook. Last year's handbook had already been approved, or the current one, I should say. It should read verbatim of the regulation. And one of the things that we noted was in step 2 of KEBR, it was still using the language of parent concern form. And therefore, the committee just kind of ran with that and continued to use parent concern form in step 4, step 5, when in fact, the regulation says public concern. So what I'm going to recommend is if you would give me the opportunity, I'd like to verify and ensure that one, the language of KEBR step 1, step 2 is accurate. I'm not sure that parent concern should have been used there. We'll take care of that. And then what I will do is go back and realign so that they are consistent with one another and that all the forms are consistent, and wherever we house these forms, we're consistent. That's very important to me. So I'll have that for you by the next read. And with that, I will take any questions you might have.
Thank you, Dr. Van Echten. Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Van Echten? I actually did have one, and I sent it over to Dr. Lee, and you answered sort of part of it, but
Okay.
probably not all of it. I know that we have called this the Parent-Student Handbook for forever, and appropriately so, but I also know that we acknowledge that not every guardian of a student is a parent. So I guess my question is do we continue to use parent, or have we started creating a language for ourselves for everyone who is in that role? Or if we want to continue to use parent, can we acknowledge in some ways that we are speaking to the larger community of those who are officially, the authorities, et cetera, et cetera?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's a consideration we can look at as a committee. We could seek some input of what that might look. You're right. A title should certainly be worthy of evaluation periodically in terms of, are we being inclusive and really representing what the document is? I think for the most part, I like the notion of how we title it. A lot of districts use code of conduct and these kind of things that I've never been a big fan of. So we can certainly look at that last year or next year as a consideration.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Seeing none, thank you, Dr. Van Echten. We look forward to
Quite welcome.
that new cover and everything else, and
Okay.
Dr. Bales' letter. So, and with that, we are down to adjournment unless anybody has anything else they want to bring up. If not, Mrs. Bacon, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned, but I'm asking the board to remain up here if you would. We are adjourned. Thank you.